Let me start by welcoming myself back to the channel since I'm the one who's disappeared for a bit. Hopefully, the time I've been away has been a creative period of time for you guys since this is primarily an art channel. It's been really creative for me ever since I switched off the camera and focused on the drawing because I realized that I started limiting myself to create only when there was light outside, or rather good lighting, or when I could film with my phone, which is perpetually full. So that used to really limit my creativity, and I decided to just switch everything off for some time and actually create, and that was really fun. So this week's painting, as I normally record the voiceovers, I don't know which painting I'm normally going to do. So I guess we're going to find out together as I post it in the end, but I just know it's going to be something really good. The time that I took, or rather, the time that I took off of YouTube, there was something that I was really struggling with that ended up affecting a huge rather bit of my life, and that was loss. When you lose someone who is really close to you. Not to get too much into it, but I lost someone who was really close to me early this year, I think in March, and it didn't really hit me, or it didn't really sink in what had happened, and all of that sank in I think July and August. That's when all things just came like, oh, I hadn't realized just how big of an impact it had on me until after that happened, because for even looking back now, I couldn't, I would talk about now the books that, since this is primarily also a book channel, I couldn't read some books with certain themes. I really love horror genres, books and podcasts, nothing visual, because the visual bit is just a bit overwhelming for me. So, and it took that love to a bit of an unhealthy fixation, because I would now actively look for those themes of loss and bereavement to kind of, I don't know if it's torture myself. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe there is a term for that, but that was how deep it had gotten. All that to say, to bring us to this week's book, which is The Guncle by Steven Rowley. When I started this book, I didn't expect it to have any kind of impact. I was just looking for a light book. I did not read the synopsis, the blurb. I just fell into it face first, and it turned out to be exactly what I needed. The main theme of this book is an uncle called Patrick. Now let's call him the gay uncle. Gay plus uncle is equals to Guncle. To two little kids, Maisie and Grant. Now the story revolves around the three of them majorly. Maisie and Grant lost their mum due to an illness, and their mum was also Patrick's best friend, and their mum was married to Patrick's brother. I hope that whole triangle makes sense. So the book follows it's not really actually a sad book, but it follows the journey of Patrick and Maisie and Grant through the healing process after losing the mum. And I think her name was Sarah. Let me see. It took me an ungodly amount of time to remember the characters' names. But yes, her name was Sarah. Their father, who's called Greg, had ended up getting an addiction problem due to everything that he had to go through when his wife was sick. So he decided to check himself into rehab. And so what he decided to do was to leave his kids to Patrick to take care of them. Patrick is, the one word I could use is flamboyant. Well, two words: flamboyant, egotistical. Well, three words now: flamboyant, egotistical, and extremely funny. His humor and wit is unmatched, unparalleled. It was really, really funny to see his reaction to getting the new baggage that he was left with. Patrick himself had a bit of a difficult past himself as well, because he lost his partner due to a road accident a couple of years ago, and ever since that time that he had lost his partner, he hadn't ever really processed or accepted what had happened, in the way that you process loss. In the end, you do find out that Greg also had an ulterior motive of leaving his kids with Patrick, so that maybe they could help Patrick to process everything that he went through. Now you can imagine losing your partner, then losing your best friend. Now here are two little kids who need you who claim that you do not need anyone. So it was just really interesting to see the growth process and the healing process that he had to go through, and the way the kids helped him to heal, and how he helped the kids to heal, and the whole character development that took place. The book isn't one that I thought would help me or anyone, in fact, heal or process grief, but just listening through it was really insightful and helped me personally to reflect through everything that had happened when it comes to loss. Because I think when you lose someone, I don't think there is any right way to grieve. Because again, to get a little bit personal, when I lost the person, I didn't cry much, and I honestly did believe that made me a horrible person not to cry. If anything, I threw myself into life, for lack of a better term. That's when I threw myself into fitness, into art, into my businesses that I had. Anything that I could do to disassociate from what was happening, I did it. And through it all, you just ask yourself, what could I have done differently? And could I have been there more? Could I have maybe stopped it from happening? And adversely, it had the effect of making me even afraid of connecting with other people, because there would also always be that chance of them leaving. God damn it. So I think reading this book, or rather listening to it, because of course it was an audiobook, had the side effect of helping me realize that life still does move on, even after loss. Of course it does move on. I mean, the world is still moving, and so many people have lost people. I'm not the first one. The joy and the happiness that radiated through the pages, even as you continued listening to the book, the combination of humor and the serious topics being talked about in the book were like a really nice, soothing balm. I'm going to use all the big words today to someone who was going through a lot of messy stuff. As always, I always say that the books that I've read are really, really good. This one is no exception. I didn't really expect it to be this good, honestly. Even just looking from the cover itself, you'd think that it's such a light-hearted, stereotypical book where it's a gay, flamboyant man, living his life out in, where was it? Was it Hollywood? Being so sarcastic and humorous, and you'd think that it'd be just a huge book full of fluff, but I really do recommend this book to anyone who's struggling with loss or grief. Maybe it might not be as helpful to you as it was to me, but I think it is an inoffensive book. Let me put it like that. It's not anything that is going to really cut too deep even as you listen to it or read it, but it's going to be a really good listen. Even if you haven't gone through loss, it's just a really good book to go through. My reviews are never really that insightful, I know, but hopefully in the future they're going to get better now that I am back full time, hopefully never to leave again. So I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Again, I know it's a little bit all over the place, and if you have, and if you've also enjoyed the painting stroke drawing, again, as I said, we're going to find out together what drawing I'm going to put over here. If you've enjoyed it, please feel free to leave a like, a comment, share it with whomever you would like to share it with. And oh, I have to mention this since I am sponsoring myself. If you'd like to learn how to draw, I have a couple of classes up on Skillshare. You can click on the link down there in the description if you'd like to join and follow along to the classes. There are also multiple thousands of other classes from other really talented teachers if you'd also love to learn other things. And I think that's it for this time. Catch you on the flippity flip.